What if one of the greatest performance cars in history was never supposed to exist? Throughout the 1970s, speed came at a price. If you wanted a thrilling driving experience, you usually had to buy an expensive sports car or a powerful Grand Tourer. Practical family hatchbacks lived in an entirely different world. They were built to save fuel, carry groceries, and transport families, not to excite enthusiastic drivers. Nobody expected an ordinary compact hatchback to challenge that idea. Yet that is exactly what happened in 1976, when Volkswagen introduced a car that would permanently change automotive history. It wasn't the fastest car in the world. It wasn't the most powerful. And it certainly wasn't the most expensive. But it proved something no manufacturer had demonstrated before, that a practical everyday family car could also deliver genuine sports car excitement. Today, we call cars like that hot hatches. They're everywhere. Nearly every major manufacturer builds one. But before the Golf GTI, the category didn't truly exist. The remarkable part is that Volkswagen never intended to start a revolution. The company simply wanted to see whether a handful of enthusiasts might appreciate a slightly faster version of its new family hatchback. To understand why that idea sounded so unusual, we have to return to the early 1970s. Volkswagen was rebuilding its identity. For decades, the legendary Beetle had carried the company, but its rear-engine design was becoming outdated in a market demanding modern engineering, greater efficiency, and improved practicality. The answer arrived in 1974 with the first-generation Golf. Designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro, the new hatchback abandoned the Beetle's traditional layout in favor of a front-mounted engine, front-wheel drive, and a clean, modern shape that immediately felt like the future. It quickly became a commercial success, offering reliability, practicality, and everyday usability. But hidden inside Volkswagen, a small group of engineers wondered whether the Golf could become something more. They weren't trying to build a race car. They wanted to create a car that ordinary people could drive to work every morning, take shopping in the afternoon, and still enjoy on a winding road during the weekend. It was an idea so unconventional that even Volkswagen's own management doubted anyone would buy it. The project received only limited approval, with expectations of producing just a small batch for enthusiasts. Nobody inside the company realized they were about to invent an entirely new type of performance car. When the Golf GTI entered production in 1976, even Volkswagen had modest expectations. The project had begun almost quietly, developed by a small team of engineers who believed there was room for something the market had never seen before. Management initially approved only a limited production run of around 5,000 cars, assuming demand would come from a small group of enthusiasts and quickly fade away. From a business perspective, the idea seemed risky. Why would anyone choose a family hatchback over a traditional sports coupe? But the engineers understood something that the market had not yet discovered. Most people didn't actually need an expensive sports car. They simply wanted a car that made every drive enjoyable. That philosophy shaped every decision behind the GTI. Instead of chasing enormous horsepower figures, Volkswagen focused on balance. The standard Golf already provided an excellent foundation thanks to its lightweight construction, front-wheel drive layout, and compact dimensions. Rather than reinventing the car, engineers refined it. Under the hood sat a 1.6-liter inline-four equipped with Bosch K-Jetronic mechanical fuel injection, producing around 110 horsepower. By modern standards, that number sounds ordinary. In 1976, however, it transformed the lightweight Golf into one of the quickest compact cars on the road. Weighing only around 810 kilograms, the GTI accelerated with an eagerness that surprised almost everyone who drove it. Personally, I think this is one of the greatest engineering lessons in automotive history. Volkswagen proved that performance isn't created by horsepower alone. Low weight, responsive steering, precise suspension, and intelligent engineering often matter far more than impressive specifications on paper. The GTI wasn't designed to dominate drag races. It was designed to put a smile on the driver's face every time the road began to twist. Engineers also understood that appearance mattered, but only if it reflected the car's personality. Instead of adding oversized spoilers or aggressive body kits, they introduced subtle details that would become legendary. A thin red stripe surrounding the front grille immediately distinguished the GTI from the standard Golf. Wider wheels improved grip without making the car appear excessive. Inside, the now famous tartan cloth seats became one of the most recognizable interiors in automotive history, while the golf ball-shaped gear knob added a playful reminder that this was no ordinary family hatchback. None of these details were accidental. They created an identity that enthusiasts could recognize instantly, even decades later. On the road, journalists quickly realized that Volkswagen had created something completely different. The GTI felt light, agile, and incredibly responsive. The steering communicated every change in the road surface, the suspension remained firm without becoming uncomfortable, and the engine encouraged drivers to use every gear. Unlike many sports cars of the period, the Golf GTI wasn't intimidating. You didn't need professional racing experience to enjoy it. It inspired confidence almost immediately, allowing ordinary drivers to experience genuine performance without feeling overwhelmed. That accessibility became its greatest strength. You could drive the GTI to work every morning, take friends on a weekend trip, carry groceries in the hatchback, and still spend Sunday afternoon enjoying your favorite mountain road. It offered the practicality of a compact family car without asking owners to sacrifice excitement. Before the GTI, buyers often believed they had to choose between practicality and performance. Volkswagen demonstrated that they could have both in the same package. The response exceeded every expectation inside the company. Demand exploded almost immediately, forcing Volkswagen to abandon its original production plans. Instead of building a limited run for enthusiasts, the GTI became a global success. Customers lined up to buy one, automotive magazines praised its balance, and competitors suddenly realized that an entirely new segment had appeared almost overnight. The remarkable part is that Volkswagen hadn't set out to invent a new category of car. It had simply tried to build the best possible version of the Golf. Yet by combining everyday usability with genuine driving enjoyment at an attainable price, the company accidentally created what the world would soon know as the hot hatch. And once that idea proved successful, the rest of the automotive industry had no choice but to follow. The Volkswagen Golf GTI Mk1 didn't become a legend because it was the fastest car of its generation. It wasn't. It didn't have the biggest engine, the highest top speed, or the most exotic badge. What it offered was something far more important: it changed the way people thought about performance. Before the GTI, practicality and driving excitement were often seen as opposites. Family cars were expected to be sensible, while sports cars were expected to be expensive compromises. The Golf GTI erased that boundary. It proved that one car could do both, and in doing so, it created a formula that would inspire generations of engineers for decades to come. Personally, I think that's why the Mk1 GTI still feels so special today. It wasn't designed by accountants chasing a market trend. It was built by enthusiasts who believed ordinary drivers deserved an extraordinary car. There was no focus group asking for a hot hatch. No marketing department predicting a global phenomenon. Just a small team of engineers convinced that a lightweight hatchback could make people smile every time they turned the key. History proved they were right. Almost every performance hatchback that followed, from the Peugeot 205 GTI and Renault Clio Williams to the Honda Civic Type R, Ford Focus ST, and modern Golf GTI itself, owes something to the little Volkswagen introduced in 1976. The segment grew, evolved, and became faster with every generation, but the original philosophy never disappeared: keep the car practical, keep it affordable, and never forget that driving should be fun. Nearly half a century later, that idea still defines one of the most beloved categories in the automotive world. Looking back, it's remarkable how often the greatest revolutions begin with modest ambitions. Volkswagen didn't set out to create a legend. It didn't intend to invent a new class of performance cars or influence nearly every major manufacturer on the planet. It simply built a better Golf. Sometimes, that's all history needs. Because true icons aren't always the loudest, the fastest, or the most expensive. Sometimes they're the ones that quietly change everything. And few automobiles have changed the automotive world more profoundly than the Volkswagen Golf GTI Mk1. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more stories about the world's most legendary automobiles. And now I'd love to hear your opinion. If you could own any generation of the Golf GTI, which one would you choose, and why? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next documentary.